We are into week 29 of Weekly Reads. We're gonna go over the books that I'm currently reading because I never am reading just one. We'll talk about them and I'll give you updates throughout the week, but we're gonna start with the two books that have been on here the longest, and that is the Bible, which I'm 55% of the way through. I have a yearly plan, and so if I stick to it, which I'm a day or two behind right now, then I will have it done in the year. The other one that is supposed to be a year, and it's the gratitude journal because that's 365 prompts. I have missed days and I don't try and catch up the days I miss. There are a few days I've done 2 prompts, but generally I just do the 1. So I'm just gonna continue to be behind on that, which is okay. I do have it that I'm about 20% of the way through right now. The third book is When Godly People Do Ungodly Things. I'm 80% of the way through, so I should be able to finish this book in the next week. This book has so many good nuggets that I'm going super slow through it. Almost dragging my feet that I don't want it to end because I like it so much, but I just need to finish it because it's been on here for quite some time now. The next book is an ebook / audiobook. I have both and I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet. Kind of depends on some library loans and some other books. I think it's gonna be an audiobook. However, this is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne. This is Hamish's story. It's a prequel to The Hunger Games. And I'm 50% of the way through. I read the first 50% on ebook. We are just now to the games. And so I felt like the first 50% went really slow. And I don't know if it's because I know Hamish and know a little bit of his story. I don't know if I was trying not to get attached to the other contestants, just knowing the Hunger Games and what goes on them. I don't know, but I didn't love the first 50%. I didn't dislike it. I didn't feel like I was super invested because I was okay just not reading it or reading little bits at a time. The book I am reading is Barbarian's Beloved. It's the 18th book in the Ice Planet Barbarian series by Dixon. I have book either 19 or 20 checked out from the library in audiobook form. I need to read this ebook so I can get to that audiobook. I have some other audiobooks before that one, but with my library loan situations, it's always a game, I feel like, of Tetris or whatever you want to call it, of getting all the pieces to work. So I'm currently reading that ebook and I'm 31% of the way through. An ebook that I got 85% of the way through but then stopped because of library loan situations, welcome to my life, is A Room with a View by E.M. Forrester. This is a book on the Gilmore Girls book list. I think I will talk about it once I finish it because I should finish it this week. If I don't, then at the end of the week, I will share what it's about. Since I'm 85% of the way through, I already have obviously some feelings about it. So we're just gonna wait till hopefully I finish it this week. The audiobook that messed it all up was Live in Love by Laura Akins. This is Thomas Rhett's wife's story. And I'm 10% of the way through, but it's due in 2 days. And I had a friend recommend it. And so I borrowed it and I didn't realize how quickly the loan came due, and now there's a huge wait line. I think because my friend's been sharing this book and really encouraging people to listen to it. It's from our small town library. Anyways, so I'm 10% of the way through and it's due in 2 or 3 days, I think. So for the next couple days, that's gonna be my audiobook. Then we'll go to Room with a View, and then I think it's the Sunrise on the Reaping. We'll have to see. As I said, we're just playing this by ear. I do need to pick a book off the 25 books I wanna read in 2025 though, this week. August is almost here. I need to read one book off the 25 books I'm reading in 2025. I have series to finish. I have so much to read this week. I think with the books I'm reading, it won't take too long to kind of feel caught up. I just feel behind. And I think it's because last week I didn't finish a ton of books, which is totally fine. I just expected to, and I think I just started too many books at one time. So I need to get some of them wrapped up to feel a little bit more not in control. Reading is fun and it's a hobby, but my brain likes statistics too, so. I don't know if I've ever filmed outside, but I finished 2 audiobooks. It's about to pour, so I didn't have time to get ready, so I thought I would talk about them really, really quickly. The first one is Live in Love by Laura Akins. I kind of talked about it, but it is Thomas Rhett's, who is a country singer's wife's story. We get her life and her growing up in a little small town in the community and her parents and all of the things. And then when she met Thomas Rhett, which that is his first and middle name, by the way. I didn't realize that that was not his first and last name. And she said that she always calls him Thomas Rhett, and so that's what I'm gonna call him. How they met and some bumps along the way and them growing together and learning together, and how she's always so proud of him and loves him, but kind of felt like she lost herself. I got recommended this book by a friend just because this summer's been a little bit of a harder season, and she had just listened to it. She was like, I think this book will be perfect for you. I loved it, ended up giving it 5 stars. The next book was Room with a View by E.M. Forrester. This is a book off the Gilmore Girls book list, which I like reading these books because they diversify my reading. However, this book I listened to on on audiobook, which might have been a mistake because I was listening to it and I knew it was happening, but at the end I was like, what did I just read? Like, what happened? After reading some reviews and some synopsises, I can explain it now, and it makes sense that this is what I listened to. But after I read it, I couldn't have told you this. So I want to preface this as I give a review. And I don't think it's a bad book. I just have a really hard time with classics. So I'm trying to push myself out of my comfort zone. That is why I listen to some classics on audiobook. Leo! We live on a busy road. And my old dog is trying to go towards the road. No, sir. Thank you. We have lots of land this way. Go that way. Thank you. Anyways, this book talks about Lucy, and she grew up in a very rigid middle-class family, and the book starts out in Florence, Italy, where she is meeting up with her cousin Charlotte, who's kind of going to be her tour guide and kind of her bodyguard. I don't know the best way to say this, but anyways, and Charlotte has a different style of life than Lucy, and so Lucy's eyes are opened, and so it's really a coming of age of Lucy, and we see kind of almost a full circle moment. And the other part of the book takes place in England. It's a classic book, like coming of age. So I'm really glad I read it and got exposed to it. And after listening to it and looking up the synopsis and all the things that I did, I ended up settling on a 3.25 star rating. Wednesday update. We're gonna go over where I'm at in all the books, and then I'm going to give you 2 book reviews because I owe you that. Where I am at. I did not think this, but first things first, I started Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. This is the 3rd book in the Skyland series, and I believe I'm about 10 or 11% in. I did not update this, and my book's way over there. So anyways, I have started that. I'm really excited to see if I like it. I will say so far, it reminds me a lot of Say You'll Remember Me. Obviously, the people are different, but both female main characters have moms with dementia. It seems a little instant lovey. Say You'll Remember Me definitely was, and so far in Can't Get Enough, it seems like that. We will see. There also might be a long distance thing going on. I'm not quite sure yet. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how closely they're related. The characters themselves have very different personalities and things like that. But so far, that's what it reminds me of. The second book that I am almost done with, I'm about to go on a walk and listen to my audiobook, and I will finish it. And that's Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne. We got through the games portion of the book, and I felt like it went really fast. I didn't feel super attached to most of the characters. He just got home and some things have happened and it made me sad. I don't believe I'm going to be crying in this book. This definitely explains why Haymitch is the way he is, though. I get it. The last 2 books that I'm currently reading are The Gratitude Journal, which I updated my numbers. I am 25% of the way through. And then the Bible, which I have not updated it. And so I still have it. I am 55% of the way through. That means I finish When Ungodly People Do Ungodly Things. I finished it this morning. I am very excited. It was by Beth, and it just talks about when godly people who have all the right intentions and all the right plans or safeguards or whatever you want to say, and how they can do ungodly things, like how they can get into a trap of doing things they shouldn't and how to fix that. And then at the end, it was talking about how you are forgiven, about the prodigal son. And she took an interesting approach to the brother of the prodigal son that I never really thought of before. I really like this book. I would highly recommend, if you are a Christian, to read this book. I think I'm going to give it 4.75 stars. Like I said, I just finished it this morning, but I really liked most of it. The ending wasn't as strong for me, but I don't necessarily think it was a bad message. It just didn't resonate with me as much as the first 60-70% of the book did. I finished that book. I also finished Barbarian's Beloved. Barbarian's Beloved takes Ariana and Zoilana, 2 characters that we knew were together and have been together since the first couple books, and tells their story. They are telling their story to their son, but then they go into more details and say they don't share everything with him. But it talks about how Ariana, who we've always seen as just someone who cries all the time, and we get a look into why she cries and her anxiety, which someone who also struggles with anxiety, I related to her so much. And then I absolutely loved Zoilana and how he cared for her, didn't understand what was happening in her brain, but still loved her through it and tried to figure out what was happening and understand it. So I really enjoyed this book. It is a little bit heavier and could be a little bit more triggering if you do have anxiety, and there is a trigger warning at the beginning of the book because of that. But I really like that book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. We are back outside to give you the last 3 book reviews for the week. of the 29th. We live on a 55-mile-an-hour paved county road, and so people go fast, and we have a lot of like tractors and things, so it can be loud. So I moved further back on our property to hopefully help the sound, but now we have lots of bug sound, so we'll see how it goes. The first book that I finished is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne. This is the prequel to the Hunger Games. This is Haymitch's story if you have read the Hunger Games. And this book really did help me understand Haymitch. And knowing what I knew about him, I knew things just had to go from bad to terrible to worse. Like, I just knew his story was not going to be pleasant. And so going into this book, I think for the first 50%, you're introduced to Haymitch and all the characters, because it's from the reaping to the games. And so I didn't want to get attached to any of the characters, just knowing what I know about the Hunger Games. And so I feel like I was dragging my feet through the first 50%. And so then the games portion happens, and then after the games, things just kept happening. And I was sad about it, but I wasn't shocked. But I ended up giving that book 4 stars. The second book I finished was an Ice Planet Barbarian audiobook, and it was Barbarian Seduction by Ruby Dixon. This book follows Marlene, who is a human woman who was crashed on an alien planet. And she is from France, where the other human women have been from America. And so her accent on the audiobook was not my favorite. I had to really slow down the audiobook. She is resonating for the second time. And so the first time she resonated was during the original type of books. And so we're flashed back to that time, and we get her point of view and Zennik's point of view as they are navigating resonance and just coming to the planet, and her being French. And just, I think it's been really interesting that the last couple books we've done flashbacks. I'm not a huge fan of that. On top of that, I thought the story was okay, and I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. The third book I finished was an audiobook, and it was Playing for Keeps by Sasha. This is the third book in the Playing the Field series. It is a book based in England, and so it is about a women's and men's football team. In America it'd be soccer. And so our female main character is Lana. We have met her. She got to be the captain when one of our other characters was gone. Her dad was also a football player and has a interesting reputation. And so Lana kind of got that reputation as well. And so she has some hurdles with that. So one night she pretends she is not herself, and her and Alex end up having a one-night stand. Alex is a single dad and a football star. I knew Lana's dad because they played football together. And so things get really interesting because Lana has a family secret she's trying to keep from the public, and her family is encouraging that. And then that really affects her and Alex's relationship. Plus he's older and a dad, and so he's trying to navigate that and like what that means for him. I enjoyed listening to this book and gave it 4 stars. It is the end of week 29, so let's go over the books. I feel like this week was really weird. I've been on a self-discovery journey the last year, and I found out some things about myself. And it took a lot of mental power, and so I didn't have a lot of room for stories. Even when I was like walking around in circles, I was like working through these things in my head and not listening to audiobooks on my walks to get a lot of audiobooks done. So with that being said, we're just going to jump into the books. We're going to go with the 2 books that have been on here the longest, and that is the Bible and the Gratitude Journal. Both of these are year-long projects. The Gratitude Journal I've talked about before. It's going to last till next year. I am 25% of the way through. I calculated that this week, so that's good news. I am on track with the Bible. I have not calculated how far I'm in there. So whatever percentage of the year through we are, that's how far I am. The next book is my ebook, and it is Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. This is the 3rd book in the Skyland series, and I like this. I feel like I just read Say You'll Remember Me, and in that book the female main character's mom has Alzheimer's, and same with this book, and so I'm comparing the two, and they're very different books. I don't know how I'm feeling about Can't Get Enough. I'm 81% of the way through, so I feel like I should have some feelings, and I don't. The audiobook that I'm listening to is Written in My Own Blood by Diane Gabaldon. This is the 8th book in the Outlander series. We are getting so far into the series. I'm so excited. And it is very similar to the other books. These books you need to read in order because things that happen in previous books obviously affect the current book. They usually give a pretty good synopsis when they are referencing things, but still definitely read them in order, and they're long books. I am 32% of the way through this one. The newest book that was added is Breaking Free by Beth Moore. This is a devotional book that I'm reading with my Bible time, and it's by Beth Morgan because I think I shared, but at one point a lot of her books were free, so I downloaded them, and now I'm just trying to work through them. So those are the books that I'm currently reading, and the end of week 29.